This is Krull the Death Stalker, and you're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling!
For those who don't know, now you know, baby. This is Hot Rod Biggs, Jared, Jimmy Street. We're going to take them to the limit one more time, baby, right here on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jimmy Street, and I'm here with my co-host and my brother from the same father and mother, Jared, the Plastic Sheik Street. What's up, brother?
Not much, brother. Just having a good day and looking forward to this interview, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Krull, man, he's a good dude. He's always done right by me. You know, he took over the company at the loss of TJ Weatherby, which was heavy on everybody because, you know, TJ ran such a great promotion that everybody could always count on for a good booking and a good payday. And Krull took that over, and he already had the production elements. I mean, we'll talk about all this because I've got all these questions lined up, but I'm just excited to get him on because Krull's one of those guys that he knows where the bodies are buried. If you know what I'm saying.
If you know, you know, right?
Yeah, if you know, you know. He knows seriously, he's been involved with some of the all-time greats and some of the greatest people that I absolutely look up to, as do I look up to him. So, you know, Krull is definitely somebody that we have to have on our show. That was somebody that was on my very long list, but he was near the top because he's just been so important to me. So I'm excited for you to get to meet him, and I'm excited for the world to get to meet him, you know, and so
I love what we're doing right now, man. These guys that have been carpenters of the business, and they're getting hopefully their time to shine through some new eyes, and you know, people can look them up on YouTube and stuff like that and find matches and see that these people are, just because maybe you ain't seen them on AEW or WWE this year, don't mean that there's not important people in the wrestling business. You know, I mean, there's a lot more that have done things for the wrestling business that just don't get their kudos.
Absolutely. And, you know, if we do that's amazing. I mean, honestly, if we are just that, honestly. So you brought that up at a good time, and this is kind of a good point I want to make. So we had Shane on, right? You know, it kind of really started with Jeff Daniels, but when we had Shane on, it really opened the door for a lot of people. And, you know, Shane, he's our liaison to all these guys now. And so when we had Shane on, great response. And then, of course, you know, we had Hot Rod on, and, you know, having those two guys on in a row almost, you know, it really kind of banged it. And then, of course, the Right Way reunion, which Shane is kind of the head of, he runs that. And basically it was like Hot Rod was on, the reunion happened. And then after the reunion happened, you know, it was like Shane sent me 100, you know, people to, not really 100, but Shane sent me a good 15 guys that want to be on the show. And then, you know, so it kind of left you and I with the decision to make. You know, we didn't really set out to be an interview show, right?
Not solely. I mean, we wanted to mix in interviews with some topics, and I mean, we've been blessed with these interviews. So how can you turn them down? I mean, right.
That's the way we looked at it. And I wanted to involve you in that because I know you care about the topics as much as I do in our What If episodes. The What If we ever do a What If episode again should be our next one. But, you know, other than that, there's so many opportunities right now that I kind of want to strike while the iron is hot. I'm glad you feel the same way. You got some great names coming up. Of course, this one with Krull. Then we're going to have Quentin Charisma, who has another guy that knows where the bodies are buried. And then Rick Reynolds, man, he was Forsaken. He was one of the guys who trained Wolfie D. This guy is one of the guys. He's one of those wrestlers kind of guy. And Rick, honestly, is the nicest guy in the world, too. So excited to have him on. Then after that, the list is long. Our buddy Doug Markham, great referee, came in around the same time that I did and has just really done a whole lot in the business. He worked for MLW and, really, we're going to do more stuff with other guys. There's a bunch of names, too many to mention right now, but, there's just a lot of opportunities right now. Yes, we will get back to topics. If you don't like interviews, I'm sorry, but, we're kind of going to double down on this right now since the response has been so great. So, speaking of that, why don't we go ahead and get to our interview with Tim Thomasan, a.k.a. Krull.
Let's get to it, man.
All right, we'll be right back after these messages.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
Oh, Hilton stay. Your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You're ready to move your business forward, but first, you need to find the right team. Start your search with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It can help you reach qualified candidates fast, ensuring your listing is the first one they see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. See the results for yourself. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
Yes! Playoff tickets! Just need to click here and... Wait, what? Fake site? Good thing McAfee threw the red flag. That would have been $400 gone.
McAfee blocks risky sites so you don't pay for seats and other things that don't exist. Plans start at just $39.99 for your first year. That's cheaper than parking on game day. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Well, stop by Captain's Corner, where you can get autographed photos, cards, magazines, and figures from all of your favorite wrestling superstars of the past, present, and future. You'll also be able to participate in live signings in the weeks and months to come. Make sure to stop by Captain's Corner on Facebook and give us a holler. Remember, cheers to the working man.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to the Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling podcast. And today we've got a very special guest on the show with us. Not only is he a professional wrestler, he is also a promoter. He is also a booker. He is also a technological wizard. Today we're going to welcome Krull to the show. How you doing, Krull?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, Krull, we always start off with the first question of the show. Goes to my brother from the same father and mother, Jared, the Plastic Sheik. Sheik hit him up with this question.
All right, Krull, man. This is a question that I think helps the audience get to know you a little bit and lets them see maybe what your influences in wrestling were. If you could name like 4 or 5 wrestlers that you consider like your Mount Rushmore of wrestling, who would those be?
Well, locally, I would say Tony Falk, Tracy Smothers, Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee.
That's awesome.
But growing up, Hulk Hogan, of course, Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, Terry Funk.
Yeah.
I don't think any of those names on either list can be argued with.
No.
I love those guys. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great 2 lists there, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to start off from the start here, Krull. Talk about your younger days, brother. Where were you born?
I was born and raised and grew up in East Nashville, right off of East Trinity Lane. You know where Porter used to run?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I lived walking distance to that building.
That is wild. That was my first venue I ever worked at in Nashville, so that's awesome.
Up until 2015 or 2017.
Yeah, okay. And then where'd you go to high school? Maplewood. All right. In the hood, Maplewood. I love it. So what I always liked about East Nashville is when I first moved there with my band, we lived in East Nashville. It was like 7 guys and 2 girls in a house. And it was literally like the real world. And had we had any sense, we would have shot it like a reality show, because I think that would have made much more money than the band ever did. But with that being said, there was always a statement that was very true. Hey, welcome to East Nashville. We'll steal your heart and your lawnmower. Yeah. So you were OG East Nashville. So you went to high school. What about sports in high school, man? Did you do anything like that?
Well, I wrestled my junior and senior year in high school, and then I would always do the summer football practices just to get in shape for the wrestling. But that was pretty much it.
Yeah. You're a big guy, right? What were you at in high school? What was your size?
I was probably about 6'4", probably about 290, 320, something like that.
Yeah, that's when they get up to men. I remember Jared wrestled heavyweight in high school, and he was always talking about, he was like, when you wrestle those guys, it's you're wrestling men. Even though they're in high school, you're wrestling men, so.
Yeah, there was a guy in a few towns over. I never had to wrestle him, thank God, but he was ranked number 1 in the nation at heavyweight. So
pretty crazy stuff. So yeah, so obviously that was it. But when did you start liking wrestling?
Probably about the time I was old enough to understand what was on TV. Yeah. But in my household, nobody liked it. Just me. Probably from about the time I was 8, 9 years old. But I didn't get to go to my first wrestling match until my oldest sister's future husband, when they were dating, he took pity on me and took me to the fairgrounds. It would have been 86, so I would have been maybe 15.
Yeah.
At the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely like our raising too. Our immediate household did not enjoy professional wrestling like we did, but we relied on our uncles and cousins to help us go see pro wrestling like Rock and Roll Express and Boogie Woogie Man. And, there was some kind of outlaw promotion running in Virginia that booked, as they were also working for Crockett, they would also book in Virginia. And I've never found out who ran that show, but long story short, we feel your pain on that one, brother. So, yeah. So talk about your start in wrestling. What was your first foot in the door as far as getting into professional wrestling?
The Jarrett school that they ran off the Memphis TV. Mm-hmm. It was ran out of a local gym off of Conference Drive in a little strip mall called Fitness Trainers. They had the lowest, shittiest ring set up in the corner, and basically they would make you get like a $25 a month gym membership at the gym, and they had about 40 people at the start of it coming from all around the territory, from Louisville, Memphis, or people driving up on a Sunday for a 2-hour class.
Yeah.
Because, but basically the USWA school was just an extra line of income for Jeff Jarrett, because, the territory was on its ass.
Right.
So, Jeff was a good teacher, but you could just tell that his heart wasn't in it. It was just, had just him going through the motions most of the time. The real trainers there were Tom Pritchard and Tony Falk. That's how I got in with Tony, and nobody would, Tony's not going to take a lot of bumps, so I kind of became the dummy, doing all the drills and stuff. So, I definitely got my little money's worth. But that was in April of '92 when I started out there.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah.
And I had my first match in Spring Hill, Tennessee against Kevin the Thug Jones in March of '93.
Okay, March of '93. And what promotion was that for?
Terry Rice's Power Slam Pro Wrestling.
Oh, okay. Now, so I've heard names like Norrie Havoc, Leon Downs. These guys also started around that same time with you?
Yeah. Eron was, you talk about somebody that was locked in with the Jarretts for whatever reason. Christine Jarrett loved Eron, and he was like doing security at the fairgrounds and stuff, before he was even really training regularly. But Eron's deal with Jerry Jarrett was that Jeff's younger brother Jason, he wanted somebody to help coach him for when he was in high school, you know, for amateur wrestling. And he, you know, so Eron didn't have to pay for the school, and they, you know, they really loved Eron because hell, they, you know, he was probably the first one out of that group of people that was working. And Eron was actually the one that went to Jeff and Jerry and said, look, Leon and Timmy, Big Krull, they're ready to start using them. So, you know, because we were like working little independents around here, and then they, after a month or two of that, they started booking us, you know, on so Eron was the one that kind of went to bat to got us, you know, like, hey, these guys are ready, go, you know, start using them. So
Eron's a great dude. He's one of the better guys I got to know. And I met a lot of great guys, but Eron was always awesome to me, and always appreciated him. Now, okay, Kevin the Thug Jones, man, I have seen some videos about him and laying on some promos, especially for the MWF promotion and stuff like that. Talk a little bit about Thug Kevin.
I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about Kevin, but to me, he's your typical Tennessee indie wrestler, lazy, not ever, you know, he's the same as he was the match he had with me in '93 as he is today. He's the same lazy worker, doesn't want to do much, just wants to go out there and do the walk and the talk and you know, and if that's what he likes doing and can get booked to do it, then more power to him. But, you know, me, you know, if it's, you know, if you go to like playing in your band, you talked about, if you're playing the same song or set of songs every night, eventually you want to get better and evolve and learn, you know, play something else, you know.
Yeah,
at least that's how I am, you know, creatively, you know.
Yeah, you know, definitely, for sure. Yeah, that's a requirement, because then you'll start to lose your crowd if you're playing the same songs, just like the same matches.
But Kevin always had heat with me, because when men and Tony were running, for about 2.5 years, we were running Madison every Friday on Harris Street. Yeah, and he would come over there wanting to get booked, and we'd book him, then he'd be outside in the parking lot. And the business that was adjacent to the property we were on, one was like a dentist's office, the other one was like a little hall that they had like meetings for union workers or pipe workers or something. So we had to keep all these properties clean. Otherwise, they wouldn't let us have people parking there, because the parking was real limited. And he would be out there, you know, playing with his gimmicks, smoking dope or whatever, you know, how the boys do, and leaving, you know, condoms and beer bottles and shit, you know. So he was always on my shit list for that. You know?
I love it. We're starting hot. This is awesome.
The dumb tax shit, you know, just the, you know.
Absolutely. That's a high tax too, man, you know. So.
The stupid tax we paying dealing with wrestling.
So tell us a little bit about the origin of the Krull gimmick.
Well, I'm sure y'all have seen in '83 there was a sci-fi movie called Krull.
Oh yeah,
I just always liked that name, and the house I grew up in East Nashville, our neighbors in the early '90s when I started doing my training was a guy that was doing a country music gimmick. He moved here from like Nebraska to release children's records. His gimmick, he was like a singing cowboy doing children's songs, you know. But he was a mastered leather designer, so I just drew up what I wanted as far as my Krull gimmick, you know, because originally I had like a Wolverine mask with my other mask that I had. Yeah, it just got lost over time, but he made me all that stuff out of just sketches that I sketched up for him.
Yeah, it was a very original gimmick, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's pretty much where it come from, you know. I mean, but you know, I kind of feel like I was the Mankind mask before the Mankind, you know, because my fourth match was in Memphis, Tennessee, against Jeff Gaylord, and that was the night they had Luger and Yokozuna kind of like in the warm up before SummerSlam. Yeah. And the main event was Paul Neighbors against Jerry Lawler with Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson in Paul Neighbors' corner.
Right.
And they not saying that they stole my idea or my gimmick, but, you know, that was probably, you know, a year, maybe probably 2 years before the Mankind gimmick started. But they took a hard stare at me, just put it that way.
Let's just say that, right? Because I mean, because you were Mankind before Mankind, you were Abyss before Abyss. I mean, you were, that gimmick was, and I'm not comparing the two, you know what I'm saying? But in the same sense, there is some, you know, I'm not saying anything, but what are the ties with?
Yeah, but other than Vader, nobody wore a mask like that back then.
Right, exactly. And you weren't doing a Vader gimmick. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So and fantasy and sword and sorcery, all that stuff is super over with me. You know, we grew up big, you know, barbarians and Conan.
But originally I called myself Krull the Deathstalker. I just thought that had a good ring to it.
It's a great name, man. Now, who would you say you took? I mean, not to say that you took anything from their gimmick. What I'm saying is like, who would you say you modeled your style after, or were you just trying to be yourself and see how it goes?
Just probably from everything, you know. I mean, every wrestler pretty much takes something from somebody, you know.
Sure, of course.
But I mean, I never thought I was like, you know. I guess explaining how I felt about wrestling, to me, it was doing something. Not, I mean, I don't think I would have ever been one of these guys happy being on the road 300 days a year, you know, night in, night out and stuff. You know, I like being close to home and all that. So for me, I just like going in there, like in the school, man, Eron, we were always doing bumps and stuff, you know, trying to, you know, do moonsaults and stuff. And, you know, Jeff would be on us, y'all don't need to be doing that, you know, that kind of stuff. But, you know, me, I just always like the creative end of it, where learning how to do something, you know, evolving. But I mean, as far as just, like when I first started wrestling, I was, you know, getting heat by like taking big high backdrops, throwing drop kicks, doing stuff that cruiserweights do. You know, me, I just like working, you know, I just wanted to, you know, so I was always kind of my first year or two learning the ropes. I was told by bookers, you don't need to be doing that.
Right.
Don't need to be doing that, you know?
Yeah. Now, talk about, you know, and I don't want to jump ahead here too much, but it's around this time. I mean, talk about the influence that Tony Falk had on you, man. Because I love Tony. We all love Tony. If you don't love Tony, I don't like
about
you.
90, you know? Probably from about 92 up to about probably 2006 or 7. Hell, we were thick as thieves.
Yeah.
I mean, before USWO, we were running Paducah, Kentucky with his brother and Dennis Mason. And Tony would always Monday nights be at Kinko's Copy making posters after they ran like every other Sunday. So Monday night we'd be at Kinko's Copy cutting and pasting the poster together, making the copies of it, and then overnighting them to his brother. And it was kind of funny because Tony would always have a different pose he would got from Steve Bryan on like one of the Friday or Saturday shows in Nashville.
Yeah.
And then he would take it out there and have the guy make him an 8x10, and on his wall he'd have like 20, you know, one whole wall in his bedroom was just pictures of him. So it was kind of like the gimmick. Like we'd go do the posters, and he would make sure he get an 8x10 of a new picture of.
God, I love Tony so much. He's just so, you know, we fought like the devil to get him on the Wolfie D podcast.
That's the shoot, Pally.
Because I tell you,
the thing, Tony is, I don't know, it's like he, you know, just that old school mentality, like he doesn't want to tell or, you know, but I mean, hell, it's, everything's, you know, kayfabe, hell, 30 years ago was going, you know, shit.
Sure.
But the cool thing about Tony back then, too, is, like, you know, I think I was 17, and about 6 months into my training, I turned 18. So my first match, I was almost so I would have been 18 or 19 when I started working. And when Tony would call my house, because I lived with my parents still at the time, so when Tony would call my house, you know, because nobody had cell phones back then. So
Tony, of course.
Tony would call my house, and my mom or whoever answered the phone, he'd leave a message for me, and it'd be his number, but he would say he was Steve Bryant, who was the photographer around here at the time.
Bow tie, yeah.
So there was still kayfabe back then.
Yeah. Just something about Tony, because Tony to me was like a magnet. Yeah, I know. And we're going to get into this later on working for you at Saw. But I tell you, Tony was just like a magnet to me. And I could not ever not talk to him. And it was like every time I talked to him, I took something from him. And, Tony's style. And for the listeners, if you haven't heard Tony, I don't know why you're listening to our podcast, because Tony is such a precursor to even me doing something or any of us doing something. But Tony has that style about him, and it's well known that he talks in promo. You know what I mean? And, LT. Yeah, LT has it as well. He does. And I love them both. Got nothing but respect for both the men, but it's just a promo, and it's great, but it's also kind of like, and I'm not going to do my impersonation, but now I have heard that someone says that you have a pretty good Tony Falk impersonation.
Shit, I ain't done that in so long. Let's see. This is Tony Falk, and you are watching Jimmy Street on Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, because Krull wants to play these ribs and aggravate me. He wants to call and talk to my daughter and say, Daddy, it's Tommy Rich. And I yell at her and say, it's not Tommy Rich. It's that damn Krull trying to be funny. And that's a shoot, Pally.
That's a shoot, Pally.
No, but Tony's great. I mean,
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
So Tony to me is just one of those OG original guys, and he knows a little bit of everybody. And then once I found
Tony calls me Krull, right?
Yeah.
So he'd be like, Krull, my damn son. So I could tell you, I could Tony all night.
That's
God. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, better kayfabe that. Yeah, so anyway, Tony's just one of those guys. And then once, of course, I found out he knew Gary Hart, it was over from there. So I was bugging him left and right. But anyway.
And now a word from our sponsor.
This is Jason Momoa, and I'll be your finance professor today. Welcome to Banking Smarter 101 with Chime. Bam! First lesson, sign up for Chime and set up direct deposit. You'll be joining millions of members banking fee-free. Second lesson, get cash back on eligible purchases while building credit and a higher APY on your savings. That's how you bank smarter this season. Fa-la-la-la-la, class dismissed. Join Chime today.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and a secure Chime Visa credit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. Details at chime.com/feesinfo. With a qualifying direct deposit, earn 1.5% cash back on eligible secure Chime Visa credit card purchases. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. APY means annual percentage yield. Learn about credit building and more at chime.com.
This episode is brought to you by Nature's Bounty. Nature's Bounty believes your body is brilliant, naturally designed to thrive, inside and out. For those always looking for new ways to support your health from head to heels, Nature's Bounty has a range of over 400 vitamins and supplements born from 50 years of trust and care. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature. Visit naturesbounty.com to learn more.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Sheik, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
In Walmart Sue Newville, time was ticking away. Only a few nights left till the big holiday. But last-minute gifters had no need to worry. Walmart Express Delivery got their gifts in a hurry. From Nintendo to Nespresso and Lego Flowers, they could check off their lists in as fast as an hour.
All of Hoonuville, East, West, South, and North could order gifts up until 5 p.m. on December 24th. So this holiday, just do as the Who's do. With gift delivery this fast, they all gasped. From Walmart, who knew? Subject to availability, terms and fees apply.
Tell us a little bit about Extreme Clown Posse.
Extreme Clown Posse started up when we were running Paducah back in the day, pretty much before Burt and Porter came to town.
Right.
And pretty much made it like where you work here, you can't work there. Pretty much you could work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
Within like an hour or two of Nashville. And pretty much everybody pretty much got along, and, you know, it wasn't none of that.
Yeah.
So every other Sunday we ran Paducah, started in 93, and I think Tony ran that until like about 2002. But anyway, up there, it was, I don't know if y'all know Gator. I know Jimmy does, but Gator McAllister had a trainee that was doing a Roy Presley gimmick, like the Honky Tonk King Roy Presley.
Okay.
And so Billy had originally came in as a heel, then he turned babyface and came back in as my mystery partner against Gator. And that's when all the boys were listening to ICP all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so we just kind of, you know, Extreme Clown Posse. So that's where it started. And so we just, you know, became two juggalos and just, you know, kind of fell in love with what they were doing and just kind of emulated, you know.
Yeah.
Two big fat guys doing a clown gimmick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gypsy Joe would go, Hot Rod! They're two fat clowns. They're supposed to make you laugh and happy. They big and they beat people up. I don't get it. But yeah, we did that from probably about late 96, 97 to probably about 2003. Billy, he never really worked a lot. He just got in it when he broke in where Rod did, and we all just kind of became friends because Billy lived in East Nashville at the time too, and you know he pretty much worked when he wanted to, but you know he was just kind of, you know, limited when he wanted to work because he was always running a Club Platinum strip club, and like after the show, all the boys would be down there partying and hanging out.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Billy, he's a good dude though. It's just a lot of fun. And for me, I started in 92. So that was, you know, it was just kind of, you know, by that time, a lot of the shows that you wasn't really established in, you go to and people call you a Mankind wannabe and shit like that. So it's just kind of time for the first, you know, to kind of evolve a little bit for myself.
Yeah.
Probably wanted to be like, no, they stole my gimmick.
Yeah. How do you clear that up though? You can't. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's not like you can wear a shirt that says I did it first. I guess you can't. You know? I
guess that would kind of fall under the John Cena PG-13.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
You know?
The crazy one is Brian Christopher doing it, though. You know what I'm saying? Because he rode and knew PG so well, and then he's doing that with the hip-hop drop. I've heard that conversation so many times, Krull. If we can just skip that one. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm sure you have. Yeah.
No, but of course, so obviously it's based on ICP, but you were a fan of ICP as well?
Oh, absolutely. I love ICP.
Yeah, yeah. Now, do you have a Hatchet Man tattoo?
No, I don't have any tattoo.
I didn't think so, but I've seen a lot of the boys have the Hatchet Man. So, yeah. So now there was something I heard about that you did something with Vern Troyer. Is that? Tell us a little bit.
I think this was in '99. There was a club in Nashville and Antioch over here called on Bell Road called the Palladium at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
And the MTV reality show, MTV Real World Road Rules Challenge 2000. They it was wrestling theme on this episode, and they booked a bunch of wrestlers just to kind of, really we didn't do anything on the show. They showed us on camera maybe 2 or 3 times, but we didn't do anything. But the gimmick referee was Vern Troyer, and we asked him to get you're stupid if you're in your gimmick and you want, gimmick pictures. And he was like real timid, for being around people. So he's in the bathroom, and we're like, hey, can we get a picture? And he's like, ah. So we kind of like just clouded, got around him and took the picture, But when that actually aired, a lot of juggalos, that kind of got us over with a lot of the juggalos because they seen us on that, and they're like, is this MTV making fun of ICP? And we're like, no, we're a legit deal,
Right.
And then Alternative Press, they did like a big story on ICP where they both had like 3 different covers, one with each one.
Yeah.
In that issue, they got like on a big 10-page article on them, but like on one of the pages, it's got like things related to ICP, and it says ECP, and then it's got like a little paragraph that says 2 local wrestlers who go around emulating Insane Clown Posse as juggalo, So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. Now, obviously they do the gathering and things like that.
Yeah.
And did you ever hear anything about what those guys thought about it, or they even know about you? Did you ever hear anything about that?
Billy got to meet him at a in-store in like 2001. He showed them pictures, and they were like, yeah, it's cool. And then up in me, Cat Taylor and Wayne Hackney Jr. went to a little convention where they're selling records, like a little trade show, but
sure.
ICP used to go and set up gimmicks at some of these places, and ICP, Violent J's brother is Jump Steady, and he does a lot of stuff behind the scenes with them. So he was up there running this booth, and we went up there and I showed him pictures and got to talk to him. And, from what I understand, they were cool with it and never said anything negative about us doing it. So,
sure. Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, those guys are it's almost like Kiss, you never can tell if they're going to be like, is this cool or is this suable? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think they're pretty laid back.
Sure.
I
think so too.
Yeah. Wasn't like we were trying to go around rap,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, did you ever think about doing that at all?
No.
No. Okay.
I ain't got no rhythm like that.
I understand. Okay.
So, like at this point in your career, you're looking at the late 90s, early 2000s. What would you say had been your favorite match or most memorable match that you had at this point?
Up till then, Jesus. Be honest, that's so damn far. Probably at Power Slam in '94, I did like a 3-a-week, maybe about a 3-week program with Moondog Spike, Bill Smithson.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first match we had, he really liked it and thought I, took care of him pretty good because, he's old school. He don't want to be tatered.
Right.
But then the second one we had, I tatered the shit out of him. So it was a good learning curve. But the matches were good. I mean, you got the shit beat out of you, but
sure.
He was the of all the Moondogs, he was the one that was work the gimmick and not like try to kill you.
Right.
And,
right.
And probably one of the better ones to deal with, as far as doing business.
Yeah. Hot Rod told some great stories about Larry Latham too, how he worked the gimmick and everything. And, those guys are great. And they're honestly, I know they're so legendarily thought of in that area, but at the same time, the Moondogs are a all-time team for sure, whether you go national or local, Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But now that I'm sorry, it took me a second to think, but as far as like the Krull as a single wrestler, probably my favorite opponent and probably the guy I had the best matches with was a guy that Tony trained in '94, named Big John White. He was a big guy like me, and he was probably a little younger than me, but we had some pretty good matches.
Yeah.
But for 2 big guys that in their early 20s. But Big John, he was probably a lot better than me, but together we had some real good matches. He was I would say he was more of a natural, like a Stone Cold for a big guy his size.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, very much.
But Tony actually trained him and another guy named Keith something, a kid out of Dixon. He actually trained him in the lawn of where Bass School is. That's where Terry Rice ran on Friday nights and the early 90s. But Tony trained them. Whatever happened with their having the school, whatever, I think Terry had lost that building, but Tony would meet them over there and teach them how to wrestle in the grass to start out their training. And Tony stuck with them, and then they finally, eventually got somewhere to go. But Tony stuck with them and got them trained and actually started using them,
Yeah, that's the important part.
So that's true to Tony's, credit. I'm trying to sound positive when it's what I'm saying, but
Right. Well, I mean, hey, it's the same element of wanting to start out however you can, and the fact that you can tie up with Tony Falk, it's always great, so that's a good start for sure.
We'll be right back with more Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet, so switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event is on now with awesome deals on their most popular models, including adventure-ready SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe and Santa Fe Hybrid. There's also the stylish Elantra, packed with the latest tech, or go electric with the Ioniq 5 or Ioniq 6. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
Gideon's Warriors, a night of pro wrestling stories and testimony of God's grace and mercy. Come hear Pastor Rick Reynolds, who you may know as Damien or Forsaken, Shane Morton, Ben Jordan, and Tommy Phillips, aka Sean Schultz, as they share their experiences in pro wrestling and their personal walks with God. It's all going to be on Sunday, January 18th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at His House Ministries, 4909 Highway 43, Summertown, Tennessee. Everyone is welcome. Do not miss this one-time event.
Hey, this is Pastor Rick Reynolds of His House Ministries in Summertown, Tennessee. I'd like to do a personal invitation to everyone to come see us on January 18th, 2026 at 7 o'clock.
So talk a little bit about the around the time of the USWO. Like, talk a little bit about maybe some of how things were done, or at least how the crowds were doing and things like that.
Well, the USWO originally started when the Hackneys and Farron and Tony were running New South Championship Wrestling in 97 and early 98. And then the opposition, you know who I'm talking about. The building, got codes involved and got the building shut down. So Wayne pulled out. So then in late 98 and 99, TJ was running every Friday in that Excalibur gym, the original Saul. And then when that shut down, he lost that building. Nobody was really running other than, the occasional Byrd at the fairgrounds and Porter stuff. So that's when Tony started running Springfield once a month at the center, and we would run once a month. Then we moved from there to the fairgrounds old Army building, and we ran every other Friday.
Yeah.
But when we started running that, we were renting Porter's ring, and he would have try to bring in a name. So we did one with Lawler, and we ran once a month. And as far as the houses, Tony could probably tell you a dollar amount, but I mean, the center, it holds a lot of people. We'd probably draw 250 maybe And then that's why we moved to the Fair building, because the rent's a lot cheaper and we could run it more often. But Tony was also running like Tuesdays and Thursdays, just any day that he could get. So then that's when we moved to Friday. So when we moved there, Farron was actually like a full partner with Tony on the financial end of it. So, Farron would cover his ass and make sure we got sponsors and everything. So then we were actually drawing probably over 300, I would say, at some, so around 300. But I mean, the crew was pretty much the same as what you probably know, Jimmy. We had Tim Ernesto, Jeff Daniels, Ben Jordan, Steve Neely, Patrick Miller, Kid Thriller, Hot Rod, Hammerjack, me, Billy.
Yeah.
Dante, just a who's who, Larry Valentine. I mean, I'm probably. And a lot of the guys that Tony would use in Paducah would come down carloads. And so how was the atmosphere of it? We had started our TV in March of 2002. So Tony would book all these, kids like the Chuck Taylors and the Ricochets and all that group. A lot of those guys. So we would have, Tony would want to book like 15 matches, but none of it meant anything because the people would go out there and just, fart on it.
Sure.
So, but he was trying to get more, in one night, which I understand why, but a lot of it just, come off hit or miss. And a lot of it just, I think that probably hurt the draw in the long run. But our actual first episode of USWO Late Night was on a channel and on Comcast. They had a infomercial channel pretty much. And locally, if you submitted a tape, they would, play it. But our time slot was Saturday nights at midnight.
Yeah.
And and that spot cost us $18.73. A lot of people don't know that, and that was the cheap. But like if we were on Saturday mornings at like say noon, it would be like $700 or $800.
Right.
So that's what. But from like midnight to 6 in the morning, the time spots were under $20.
Wow, that's amazing. That makes a lot of sense, though,
So, but our very first episode, they did something wrong with our tape, and it aired that weekend like 100 and something times.
Oh my God!
It was airing. For some reason, it would air for like 2 or 3 hours straight, and then like a knife show would like where they're selling knives, it would come on.
Sure. Yeah.
And then like our show would come back on for 3 hours. So people was calling us all weekend. I told Tony, I said, damn, I wish it wasn't just a generic show. I wish we had like a big show to plug. At least we would get all that commercial time. But yeah, I think my Comcast rep said that show aired like 137 times between Saturday night and like Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's amazing, man. So,
but our original run of USWO Late Night, we aired in that slot from March of 2002 to like around probably 09, maybe 08, something like that. So it was almost 6-year run.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, let me ask you this, because that brings up a great point that I wanted to ask you, but I think it's a perfect time to ask it. So with the Wolfie D podcast, I started it. I didn't know anything other than I just had, I have a wrestler. I can talk to him about his career, but where does it go from there and how do I do it? And I learned it. And if you hear the first shows of the Wolfie D podcast, it sounds like it's just a fan asking a wrestler questions. And then it turned into, we got some, a rapport about us and the production levels came up. I bought a good microphone. Sounds much better now. I'm much more proud of the product today that I can put out with both podcasts now than I did early. But I learned as I went. And, I've even had guys ask me like, hey, man, I want to start a podcast. How do you do it? And I'm like, man, this is my way. I don't want to tell anybody the wrong way, but this is how I did it. It's bass-ackwards, but I figured it out. Talk about that, your production quality, because you are a great producer as far as, TV shows go and things like that and commercials and all that. Talk about how learning how to do that and where did you learn that from?
It just always comes back to pretty much started out like what you just said with the podcast. Just, it was trial and error and just, that learning curve. But I always had that creative itch. Like when I was a kid, I was making wrestling belts on cardboard, before I got into doing TV with wrestlers. from probably the time I started wrestling to they started making replica belts in the late 90s, early 2000s. I probably made over 200 wrestling belts for all the groups around here in Alabama and Tennessee.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, so it was always just that creative itch, you know, of doing something. And I mean, it's, you know, just, you know, like seeing stuff on TV, like, man, I can do that. And I just, you know, at the time I started, I was pretty decent with Photoshop, so I could build my graphics in Photoshop and just you know, I got a computer, and that's when you could, you know, buy a video card and import your analog footage. But the bad thing about that, you had problems with your audio being out of sync, so you had to it was just trial and error. I mean, I'd love to have a $1 for every hour I probably put in the stuff, you know. So you figured,
Amen.
You figured I probably did 6 years straight of USWO, and then we did over 400 episodes of Saul in its original run. So you know, I probably got over 1,000 episodes of just TV wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just trial and error, you know. It's like, you know, just kind of, I knew in my head what I wanted to do, and I just kind of had to teach myself and figure out how to do it, you know.
Just kind of like how I did it, basically. You don't like the last show. Yeah. You said, this could be better. I'm going to fix this and then fix this. And,
you know, somebody, you know, buddy's got a camera here, but, you know, you get the money, you figure out what to buy, you go buy something better. You know, it's like, get a piece of the puzzle here.
Right.
You know, that's how me and Reno hooked up to do Saul. You know, in 07, TJ, you know, that's the thing I love about TJ Weatherby. You know, whether we were running wrestling or not, we were always going to eat, hanging out, and doing shit, going to auctions. You know, the same with Cersei. We were friends regardless of what we were doing. But TJ got the building in Millersville, and you know, me and Reno had the itch of wanting to do something better because the area was kind of dormant. You know, it's like, you know, I know how to do the TV. Reno's got the know-how to get the sponsors and help put it together. Boom, boom, boom. You know, TJ had the building. So you never saw Millersville before Reno and me went up there.
Right.
TJ started in February of 07, and then it's kind of like, you know, he was running Saturdays, didn't want to step on Tony's toes, but, you know, getting talent to commit and stuff, you know, so it was me that kind of talked to him and like, TJ, you need to go to Fridays. That way you got better talent and more access to talent. And, you know, but he didn't want to, but like I tried to tell Tony, I was like, it just is what it is. Because when Tony was at the Stadium Inn, it was like he was held hostage by Bill DeShields. I don't know if you ever met Bill DeShields, but he was the creepy manager that ran the Stadium Inn, that he told everybody he owned the place and he owned car dealerships. But he was just a creepy gay, old 60, 70 something year old man. And, so, you know, before Tony was down there, Burt was running it, and then he put Byrd out, and Tony agreed to come in there because we had, at that time, had lost our building in Madison. So 6 months later, we wound up in the Stadium Inn, and he brings Burt back. So you got wrestling on Wednesdays, us on Fridays, and Burt on Saturdays. And if anybody ever wanted to know why Tony ran multiple nights there, it was to keep everybody else from running.
Yeah.
But Bill, then, you know, Bill had to run his own. So then instead of just USWO, USWO ATL, so it was just confusing to the consumer, you know. And Tony put up with a lot of bullshit down there.
Yeah.
You know, for years, TJ and me told Tony, said, get out of here. You can come up here and run. And, you know, so it took Tony a couple months to build up his motivation to come up there, but he come up there. And I love seeing this because, you know, to me, it's being around people and being around people that you love and that you want to be around with and doing something, especially when you're doing something creative and, you know, all that. But Tony walked up there, and outside the sawmill, Tony asked TJ two questions, and he says, first question Tony asked, he says, brother, am I welcomed up here? And TJ said, well, hell yeah. And he hugged him. He says, and second one said, can I pay you $150 and run your building once a month? He said, yeah. So you got to love him. He was, you know, and Tony's always had like I mean, I don't know if Tony's ever told you his past, but he had a lot of shit growing up and seen a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he's like that, real timid and don't want to be confrontational and stuff like that. But I'm sure if you've been around Tony enough, if he's pushed into a corner, he'll snap, and
I'm
take
sure.
up for himself. But
Yeah.
Tony took a lot of shit from Bill DeShields. Like he would, because Bill always had a relationship with Porter, and he would like call Porter, and Porter's like, "Did you know Porter's got a business license? You're gonna have to have a business license, Tony."
Oh.
So Tony would go get a business, So then it was like, "Well, you're gonna have to have liability insurance." So Tony goes and gets liability insurance. Well, it ain't good enough, It's just always
one extra thing.
I wish Tony would have, but it's just, is what it is.
Well, and the hipsters kind of started flocking to the stadium in East Nashville,
Well, Josephus kind of filled the void when I kind of left and was doing Saul with Reno.
Yeah.
Josephus kind of, stepped in there and they trained him because he was like the Shelby Street Brawl. Josephus was the one that hooked LT and them up with that world and got all those people coming. So, like I tried to tell Tony, TJ's might be running the same night, but it's further enough apart that, you want to draw your people. So it's like, when one door closes, another one's open. It's kind of saying, so 'cause when I kind of stepped away from the stadium and was doing Saul, Josephus come in and there was other people that came around and Tony actually probably did a lot better, because when Josephus first started bringing them people, I'm talking about before Joe was even wrestling.
Right.
They would bring tons of people down there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So it's kind of like the Monday Night Wars. Not that they were at war, but, TJ drew good consistently and Tony drew good consistently.
Right.
And then just like anything else, it's hard to do that stuff every week and stay consistent. Like when we would draw a big house in Millersville, the next week or two, it might be the shits. And then it's kind of like you build back up and you have your big show and then kind of start over. But
yeah.
You're listening to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, and we'll be right back after these messages.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
Good morning, Crust. It's a great day to be a bread brother.
Ugh, mornings are not my jam. Or jelly.
Oh, come on. Stop loafing around.
I just woke up feeling hollow inside.
Just grab one of the new Morning Uncrustables sandwiches, like Bright-Eyed Berry or Up an Apple, filled with 12 grams of protein and tons of deliciousness. Crust, what are you eating?
It's just granola, not even yogurt.
No crust, no fuss. Uncrust your mornings.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back in Disney's Freakier Friday, now streaming on Disney+.
We switched bodies.
I'm freaking out right now. I think I just peed a little.
It's an absolute riot. And the only movie that can be described as
so much weirder than the last time. What last time?
It's the frequel.
You ready?
We've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
Disney's Freakier Friday, now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
Hi, this is Mike Needham, host of the Reckless Abandon Podcast with Mike Needham. We invite you to jump on your favorite podcast platform and search for the Reckless Abandon Podcast and give us a listen. I'm sometimes joined by a part-time podcaster, part-time co-host, and full-time wife, Tiffany Nicole. We talk wrestling, we talk pop culture, we talk local events, local happenings in West Tennessee, and a ton of other stuff. But be sure to check out the Reckless Abandon Podcast. Find us on Facebook. Also, look up the Microgroup Podcasting family on Facebook and see some of our other podcasts we have out there. Until next time, make good choices and always remember, no dollar, no dice.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jimmy Street, and that was episode 29 of the Best of James Rock Street Productions with the first half of episode 36 of Krull on Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling. Krull has had his hand in almost all parts of the business: wrestling, booking, promoting, TV production, and more. My time at NWA Saw was my favorite, and I have to thank Krull for that. You can hear the full episode and more over on @GMBMPW or Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling, wherever you listen to podcasts, or simply click the link in the notes below. We hope you've enjoyed a look back in the archives of James Rock Street Productions. Check us out next week to see what else we have in store. Until then, follow @GMBMPW and @JamesRockStreet everywhere. Peace.
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
We'll see you later.
This has been a James Rock Street production.